Hi everybody, we're going to take notes on the 7th grade Common Core Lesson 2.3, Subtracting Rational Numbers. During these notes, we're going to be practicing on fractions only. 3 things that you need to remember when going ahead and subtracting fractions. You need common denominators. We're going to work as improper fractions. And then anytime you see a subtraction problem, you're going to rewrite that as an equivalent addition expression. In the first 2 examples, we're just going to be doing some subtraction of fractions. In the 3rd and 4th example, we're going to be working on subtraction by applying it to finding the distance between 2 rational numbers. In example 1, I'm going to follow the steps in terms of common denominators, improper fractions, and rewriting as equivalent addition expressions. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this as 9/2 minus 21/4. Okay, improper fractions, I'm then going to rewrite that as common denominators as 18/4 minus 21/4. I then am going to go ahead and rewrite that as an equivalent addition expression. When I subtract 21/4, that's the same as adding negative 21/4. I'm then going to follow the rules for addition. I have 0 pairs, I subtract. If I don't know what 21 minus 18 is, I do it off to the side and I get 3. So my answer is 3/4, and then I decide, is my answer positive or negative? It's negative because I had more negatives. In example 2, I'm going to go ahead and write improper fractions and common denominators. I have negative 29/7 minus negative 6/7. I already have a common denominator, so I'm going to rewrite this using an equivalent addition expression. I have negative 29/7, and I'm going to add 6/7. When I subtract negative 6/7, that's the same as adding 6/7. I have a positive and a negative, therefore I have 0 pairs and I subtract. If I don't know what 29 minus 6 is, I doodle it up here. I have an answer of negative 23/7, which is totally acceptable. In example 3 and 4, I'm finding the distance between the 2 rational numbers. And because distances are always positive, in the end I find the absolute value. So I simply set up an equation or an expression using the 2 numbers by subtracting them. So I'm going to take negative 2 2/3 and I'm going to subtract that. I'm going to subtract 2 1/3 from it. I'm going to follow my rules of common denominators, improper fractions, and equivalent expressions that are addition. So they already have common denominators. So I have 6, 7, 8. I have negative 8/3 minus 7/3. I'm going to rewrite that as an equivalent addition expression. So minus 7 is the same as plus negative 7. I have negative 8/3 plus negative 7/3. No 0 pairs, so I add. And then I simplify for negative 5. Because I'm finding distance, the entire problem is absolute value. The absolute value of negative 5 is 5, because distances can only ever be positive. So I'm setting up an expression and I'm subtracting. In example 4, I don't have a number line, but I still have 2 rational numbers that I'm finding the distance between. So I'm going to go ahead and write an expression, negative 3 1/4 minus negative 5 5/6. I find the absolute value of those because it's going to be a distance. I go ahead and find common denominators and improper fractions. So I have negative 13/4 minus negative 35/6. I then go ahead and find a common denominator. I'm going to pick 12. 4 times 3 is 12. So 13 times 3 is negative 39. I double them as I multiply by 2, keeping with my absolute value. Now I'm going to go ahead and rewrite an equivalent addition expression. I now have a positive and a negative, so I subtract. I doodle over 70 minus 39. I end up with 31. I have 31/12. 70 is positive and it's more, so my answer is positive. I can leave it as 31/12 and be just fine with that. So let's recap what we've done. Throughout the video, anything that I write, you write. you should going ahead and making sure you've starting and stopping to make sure that you can copy down. On the sides, you're writing questions and taking notes. Making sure you have common denominators, improper fractions, and writing equivalent addition expressions. And following those steps. When you have distance, you're making sure that their answer is positive by going ahead and subtracting the two numbers and finding the absolute value. All right, thanks guys. Have a good one.